Welcome, everyone. This is our Souls Speak. We're in constellation in divine space. We convene with our souls to listen, share, and explore. Welcome to this episode of our Souls Speak. It's my honor to introduce our guest today, Halina Rozensztrauch. Halina, you're a focusing practitioner and trainer, systemic constellation facilitator, yoga and somatic movement teacher, and psychologist. Your beautiful soul, its essence, has love for the somatic through lines, giving language to the qualities and ideas so the intangible can take form. Left behind can be included, and we can meet it, feel it, relate to it in the body, heartfully. Thank you so much for joining us. The topic that you've created for this particular podcast is the art of being precise in receptivity.
Oh, I like that. I don't remember how we come into that, but yes, there is something about precision, right? Something about the congruence, and as you mentioned, yeah, I have a love for soma. I have a trust in it, and I have a journey into life through it a little bit more. That's what I do. That's where I invite others. That's where I find my language. That's where I stay close to what matters to me, or support others in finding that inner resonance, right? So you don't go too far away, because the world is so exciting, right? Thinking is so exciting, feeling is so exciting, and the excitement sometimes can has a pull away from what is here, the vastness of the here-ness, right? And that's where my trust is in soma.
I just was going to ask for our audience members that aren't as familiar with focusing, how that informs, you.
Yeah. So focusing practice was something created, uncovered, maybe refined by philosopher called Jin Jianlin. And he was actually curious. So he was a philosopher first, then psychotherapist, and he was curious about where the novelty is coming from. Where do we reshuffle cards, and where the novelty is coming from? And that was where the new thoughts could come from, where the new concepts, where the insights are coming from, how come they are forming. So he spent a lot of thinking and feeling and intuiting into it. He even created his language. Some of his books are unreadable because he needed to invent language, right? But with this vastness, he also distilled very simple inner movements that kind of are available nearly to everyone, that allow people to be in touch with something in them that knows more and that knows freshly. And some people are gifted with being born into that, and the focusing can actually point them into it. Look, you're already doing it. Cultivate it, celebrate it more. And for some people, there are certain inner movements that can be can be practiced, right? So it's a practice of being in touch. He created the phrase called felt sense, which is that kind of feeling tone, that kind of mood or texture underneath the words we use or thoughts we have or images, even this kind of palpable felt quality that carries more than words could say. And we could hang out with that quality in a way that it reveals more. Right? So and that has lots of applications in therapy, in art, in poetry, in because it doesn't need to be a language. Sometimes it could be an image that matches that felt sense of something. It could be a movement supporting when dance becomes transmission, right? So it's a beautiful practice. It's a beautifully available practice that makes the intuition something less mysterious and more available, like just a somatic knowing. Yeah. And when I use the word somatic, it does not just refer to the literal body, right? It's that kind of a body that is felt from within, which is more than body sensation.
When we had our conversation about this podcast, you were saying about connecting with how something wants to be met before it answers.
Right. Yes. So let's say there is something palpable in a space, even with our space here, right? So we are all together in this space, right? It's blurry, it's unclear, right? So we are sort of tending to what it feels like to be together, right? And that tending might have a different qualities, right? Some moods require lots of patience, right? It takes all the time it needs, and as soon as it's given that time, it unfolds. Some textures require courage. Some textures require to really put ourselves on hold, our insistence on answering, and guardianship. Some receptivity require guarding the unfolding from ourselves, our sort of corrupting kind of patterns. Sometimes I kind of feel it more like some need more like a mothering qualities, like kind of welcoming, a warmth, the quality of warmth, and a kind of a softness. And some require more, I would say, maybe fathering qualities, more like respect, precision. Don't speak until you find my real name, right? For example, something might have that kind of quality to it. So there is, in focusing, there is this like, what do we pay attention and how do we pay attention? These are those two key arrows, one would say, right? What and how? And then the world unfolds.
This is a deep question, I think, but so in that felt sense, what informs the discernment of being precise?
I like that question. So there is the inner movement of resonating, right? So let's say if I'm feeling like what I'm feeling right now is like a kind of fullness in my chest, and I'm feeling quite excited. I'm excited being with you all here. So here I use the word excitement. Is it precise enough? So I'm going to go back to that place from where I use that word, and I'm going to check if it fits. So I'm going back inwardly to that and this kind of upwardness, buoyancy. This movement with my hands will give it a better justice than the word excitement. So I'll stay with it.
Right.
So there is now, if I stay with it, it unfolds into like more. There is more. And when I use the word there is more, I have a little goosebumps coming on my left side, right? So this is where actually the word there is more here was a little closer to that bubbliness than the word excitement. So that's how I refined it a little bit. And when I hit this spot, there's a next step. So my little goosebumps and more energy to it gave me a feedback that, okay, you're on a good track. When I said excited, it was a dot. It was end of it. It wasn't actually, it was, I put the word on top rather than I let it arise, right?
Right.
So this movement of fine-tuning, of resonating, of checking back the image, the word, checking back with the place from where it came from. Because it might be, it's sort of excited, but not exactly. I need to await it a little bit. Or it might be that I go back to a place and something in me said no. And this is a fantastic answer because I know that no will send me to where the word that is closer to it is, right? So that's where I play with the precision. When I am not swept by excitement as much as I'm here. But when I have a luxury of slowing down, where it really matters, where one word can just, one image, one precise movement of the tilt of the head that happens in constellations, let's say, right? When the movement of the head has the quality of honoring that needs to appear there, it just reshuffles the whole landscape, right? So that's why it matters to me. Have I answered it in a meandering way? Or
Other theme we were speaking about that maybe I can relate to what you just said is when you have that more feeling, then you have a choice of whether to fully express it or to be silent.
yes. So this is my kind of
Really
my
intriguing.
journey, What will unfold better through silence, through this kind of quiet tending, like beholding something, right? And bringing it to daylight, speaking about it, it won't give it a chance that the silence, silence carries a lot. And what will move forward further because it was given an expression. So I have this constant journey with, and my own, particular wounding that sometimes take my voice away, right? Where actually I should speak. And also sometimes it's a matter of timing, right? For now, it's there to be kept silent, be held. And then there is a moment where, it gathers its fullness and is ready to be named. And I remember one of my teachers in the family constellations, so it's a modality when you represent different phenomena and you step in that position of representation and you feel on behalf of something that you're representing. And I remember having very quickly picking up what my representation is feeling and wanting to speak it into the field. And my teacher said, you know what? Don't steal someone else's insight. So what if you keep it silent so that actually the whole field can realize that in a much fuller way because you haven't named it too early. So I got my lesson then, and this is constant journey, like when to speak, when not to speak. When am I saying too much? And when am I saying not enough? It's a tender journey.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to add an element to this. And so those of us on this spiritual path, for me, much of that is opening my soma, my body, to receive more of that soul consciousness, that source energy. And so that when we do that, I guess I just want to ask what your sense of is how that may change that guidance, that inner guidance, that inner felt sense with that added element.
Well, this is even how we began here, like the pausing, right, as a doorway, right, like as a first step to suspend my narratives, right, to have this capacity to to suspend the assumptions or void or, needing to fill or whatever happens, right? It's a kind of a first one, as a first step, right? And for me, the second step is to be able to drop the attention a little bit more down and wide. So that's I know for some people goes in other places. For me, is to go a little bit more down and widen, so that I can begin to feel underneath the chatter. And then to track the stirrings that don't have the qualities without name, to be able to track the qualities without name. So these are my first steps that I take, whether I have a theme that I want to explore, for example, and I need more insights about. So I might share a little bit about theme so that my body gets stirred by it, and then I drop the story, I pause, I descend, I widen and soften and hear this quality of awaiting, this art of awaiting well, something is useful and could be again furthered and furthered and further. One could be better and better and better at listening, right? And then tracking the responses without cohering them too early, right? Without trying to make sense, without allowing this to be like my hand movement at the beginning. So there's something here and something there, and and I'm something that needs to do with that. So allowing the impressions to sort of hover, and some of them I will name, some of them I won't, some of them have a sense of connection. And if one stays with those impressions, they will start kind of forming something. I would use the word something. And then this act of describing that something. And description might be that I would just begin rocking back and forward, because that's the closest to what I'm feeling right now. Description might be that I'm seeing that bird suddenly that is somewhere on the tree, and something to do with that bird. That's the only thing that I will have, right? And description might be that, it's to do with my grandmother. It might be, to do with something in life, right? So these are the kind of steps that I'm taking when I'm inquiring that way, and then the unfolding happens. I know a little bit more, right? Because once the word bird comes, and something in me feel like, right, it was about that message that I've heard, and the yes will be, my energy will either go up, there will be kind of like rising, or the energy will go like a relief, like something has been got, right? So either I will have this aha moment, or I will have this moment of and I trust those two, right? And if nothing moves inside, I don't trust it. I would just use the word, and I feel okay, that wasn't it, because there was no energetical response. I'm really grateful I found those gentle inner movements that actually can be applied everywhere. Whether I'm choosing, should I turn right or left? Whether I'm meeting somebody, and how that meeting, what's the appropriate response to that meeting, right? Whether I'm feeling something and I don't know what that is, whether it's a symptom in my body, a pain somewhere, or headache, or whether it's I don't know, a particular level of sadness that I'll be unpacking till the end of my life, but it will be revealing itself more and more and more, to the degree that I don't need to get rid of the sadness, because suddenly it becomes a source of I don't know, insights. And that's my sense. What's when I was listening, leaning a little bit into your spaces, a feeling that you have those beautiful awaiting, and in those we spaces, right? This kind of attending to how something reverberates through space, through each other's voices and contributions, and which word is being picked up and taken further, or which insight is being woven into this exchange, and which one is kind of dropped, right? It's kind of natural filtering that happens, and that's the beautiful kind of intelligence of those coming together like that, right? Yeah. Am I going too far off the of your questions? I'm sorry if I am.
It's a perfect lead into our we
Mhm.
space, and so I sensed a shift.
Mm. And I have that curiosity, like what wants to be felt or known through us here, just this very moment, right? What wants to be seen here?
What I'm sensing, seeing, feeling, knowing is that it's a one space. There's no we for me in the space. We are perceiving, seeing, sensing, feeling, knowing. It is one with all the possibility that the one brings, the divine brings. That's what I'm feeling. Because when we said we, somehow that I felt in the way you described it, that I wouldn't use those words, but I understand what you're saying. It somehow limited it. The word we limited it. That's all I can express that. And the word one opens it. And it's, so now I'm hearing that it's this dispersed awareness, the awareness of all it is, comes down into a focused, being aware of something that here in the moment. Of course, in the next moment it shifts. It's like this constant. That's how I'm sensing it at the moment. When feels like when we go out to there, to the dispersed awareness, then the heart, then this whole area goes, and then the we word brought it right into, and I'm going back as you explained how you, in your words, that felt smaller. Yeah. So at the moment, I'm not sure exactly what the invitation is, other than to feel the difference between that and that. Know the difference. Yeah, know the difference. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm attracted to your movements, actually. This movement, that one. And the word that comes here is like distillery, to distill.
Still. Well, what I'm guided to say is that I think the challenge I have is that the guidance I receive is too precise. It's so incredibly precise, and I'm not judging it at all. Yet my experience with the precision of it is sometimes the precision for others is like, it's too like ching. Yeah. But in what you were saying there, Halina, of course, is all about opening to the fact that one can be imprecise as well.
Yeah.
See, I realized as you were speaking that my focus, not the same word way you use the word focus, but my desire to be precisely focused on what the guides say is just as big a limitation as allowing myself to not be that focused.
I'm still so inspired by this.
Yeah. Well,
like how actually quick you can move from here to here, and how kind of joyous this looks too.
It's all joyous. It's all joyous for me, but it may not be joyous for everybody else. That's
So,
for sure.
something that to bring in that feels relevant, I don't know if similar, was I was contemplating what sometimes I feel arises within me is preference. So preference for movement, preference for stillness, preference for speaking, preference for non-speaking. And well, seeming preference, and then an awareness of, well, in this moment, that's my preference, and I'm not here on my own. I'm here with another person or other people. And the word that came up for me is playful. Like, is there maybe I'm making this up, but is there a relationship between precision and playfulness? Or I experience furthering something, not all the time, but often through playing with it. And playing for me means moving it around, seeing the response, seeing my own response. Because the question that came is precise according to what or who? You've got to speak, Lorna, that smile. Well, you don't have to speak, obviously.
Well, no, I don't. But so I just asked the question, what, how come I'm not being very playful then by being so precise? And my guide said, you are attuned to the guidance you're receiving, right? In what I would describe as the channel, there's only the one channel. We pick it up differently. And then I felt, playfulness is such a waste of time. It takes so long, right? And then the guy saying, well, is that a judgment? Quite a lot of judgment there, yeah. But it's back to what you were saying, Halina. All of those things are there, right? And when I go to playfulness, I get no, right? That definitely just happened. So I completely, I wouldn't have described it that way before, but that's what's going on there. So the question is the no, and you said very clearly, I get a no, and then I move to somewhere else. But is there something in the no even that needs to be more deeply inquired about? Well, the answer is yes on that one. That's what I hear.
And what comes here is like, what if with play we gain time rather than losing time?
Well, to me, time's a force rather than a thing. So is the force something that speeds up or slows down? So in terms of playing, does the playing actually speed it up rather than slowing it down? And then that question for me goes to divine will. My intention is to always be aligned with divine will. And so it can be whatever the divine wills in any moment. So, and then Barry said preferences. We can all have preferences for sure.
And
Well, and Barry, go ahead.
sorry, no,
You were waiting for the end.
Yeah. Well, in the way what I'm super curious about, and I'm noticing is, what is this feeling, or where is it really there, or is it just mine, or is it in the space? Is it ours? And I've had some feedback, not that recently. Are you going to speak? And that used to happen when I was a kid at school. Like, stop daydreaming, like, and I'm feeling like I love this subject of precision, and this is where the playfulness comes, is I feel like I'm playing with not speaking when I could or should in alignment with divine will, and I'm speaking when I maybe shouldn't, which is in alignment with divine will, and just giving myself some space around that, as opposed to, well, if I don't know if it's absolutely precise, I'm not going to I'm not going to do anything. Yeah.
Can I ask a question, Helena? Is the resistance that you get, is the no that you get resistance?
No to what?
So when you're asking a question
Uh-huh.
and you get the feeling and then you kind of fine tune it, you get a no. Is that resistance or is that sort of a definitive answer?
Or kind of could be multiple things, right?
Okay.
Sometimes you feel like, cold and warm game, right? Not this way. It's something else. And sometimes you'll feel if the no has a tension in it, right? You feel like there's more to this no than just simply clean no, right? There's something else that doesn't want to name it as that, because some things are difficult to name, they've been kept secret, and naming as a guardian. And then you see, you don't, there's no need to force it. You can just allow the no to reveal its facets and be more no, and through it more than no, right? Yeah. But I also, this theme of precision in the play, like for me, I feel like I would like to be more playful, but saying not less precise, but lighter.
Yeah.
Lighter in, and a kind of wider maybe does not need to mean less to the point. But that's my kind of, I'm here to live and play too. But I think we have a different journeys, a different souls and contributions. Some of us know, like, I'm exactly for that, and why bother doing anything else, right? I feel like I want to have some fun too, and go around. So there's a bit of that, and I sometimes associated play with the frivolous, with the kind of like luxury, with sort of something that doesn't have a voltage, or like as if play doesn't know shortcuts, right? Like I realize sometimes with when you try to figure it out something in a linear way, right? You tend to, the faster you go, the more information you have, the quicker you get into something. But when you do it through the focusing way, you kind of suspend that, and you go in and you slow right down. And that might feel like one is wasting time, because I want the answer to that kind of question, and I'm feeling some like left kidney, and my foot is tingling, and I'm kind of meandering inwardly, and then bang, out of the blue, something cohered and delivered an insight that I wouldn't have arrived, or it will take me a long time to arrive at if I haven't meandered. So I'm kind of, sometimes when I play, I hope that my playing is that, and probably many times is a waste of energy, but I gain energy through it too. So that's the question: do I gain energy through play, or do I waste it? Is it life bringing and life enhancing, and does it bring meaning, and does it bring qualities that wouldn't have appeared if the play wasn't there? But like beauty might be waste of time too, right? And yet it accompanies life in a way that sometimes it accompanies my grief, for example, in a way that no other way can accompany the beauty, that bird on the tree, that singing garden can just let it move on more than any advice. But yeah, I think we have different journeys with this.
I think what comes to mind for me is the word intention. What is the intention? Like Lorna said earlier, her intention is to be precise.
What I'm feeling, and I'm so glad that Helena said it first, was there is an inherent lightness, of course, the divine light in your work, Lorna. And then when the 5 qualities that you speak of, the light, the power, the love, and the wisdom, and the will, when they all interact with each other, then preciseness can be light. It doesn't have to be spacey or not focused, but it doesn't have to be like zoom. It can be you know what I mean. So there's a quality to that preciseness, and that to me like feeds back to your topic, Halina, is the art of being
Mm.
precise. That it's not always the same. It's not always boom. It's or it's
Right.
there's different
The
qualities.
spectrum,
Yeah.
right? The spectrum and the kind of like when you speak, I feel like there are just multiple incarnations of precision,
Right.
and maybe different qualities need different kind of precisions,
Right.
right? And so we have one word and whole universe behind it. And also, Greg, what you speak on, I just remember that moment when you were connecting power with lightness through your experience,
Right.
and it was it lives very close in me to this kind of connecting the precision and playfulness, right? How you found a way with it, that the power doesn't need to carry a weightedness or some kind of burden, maybe even, and yeah. So, and knowing you a little bit, I feel that the yeah the gentle power that one doesn't take away from another. It's a privilege to rest in.
Yeah. The experience I had only a few days ago where you asked me a question about what was I going to say or what's the poem, and I said, yeah, I know what the poem is. And then as soon as you asked me, I knew that it wasn't. But I didn't know what was. But what asking the question did, and my feeling of it's no, was, there's something else that wants to come through. And in that moment, I felt, not in every moment, but in that moment, I felt able to let it through. And I felt very moved by that. I was moved by that. I am moved by that. And I wonder about your work in relation to people coming, me coming with scripts or pre-decided narratives in relation to what's live, what's now, what's present, what's able to come.
Yeah, well, when I hold on to something like that, the script is most of the time I just don't feel safe, or I feel a bit hollow and I try to fill it with some kind of structure, right? So how to accompany somebody so they feel that they can soften the insistence on something, and then the gaps could happen. And most of my journeys is like this, like traveling through what's not it. So I've done billions of courses read billions of books, followed billions of teachers, and nearly every time I felt like yes, and then I followed the end, and I felt it's not this, but it didn't stop with fighting with not this, but actually go, what is more closer to is than not, because one gets hooked into trying to prove somebody wrong, but rather than exploring actually what is that other thing that I'm feeling that is not included, right? So this is that tricky journey where, like, I don't find myself fitting I had multiple teachers but never stayed anywhere, because I follow those, like, there's something in me knows that they're back to this, or there's more. It's this kind of, and trying to find a language around it and trying to live through those cracks without crystallizing anything is alive for me. It's alive enough to, the not it is a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's infinite, right?
Yeah. Right.
You didn't use this word, but to me, you just described trust.
Trust. Say more, Barry. How does it touch you?
Well, that's what I was feeling. I'm trying to get the exact words, like traveling through what's not it, and yet there's a trajectory or a journey, or there's something that is present. It's intangibly present, that's moving, that certainly with me, that's moving me through those different experiences, and some of them resonate, some of them don't, some are close, some are far. And then I got curious, like, what am I trusting? Like, what are you trusting to discern that?
And, you know, that's very close to faith, right? Being able to lean in to something with openness without knowing what it is. So you kind of, something hasn't earned yet, like I usually associate trust with, you know, you earn it from behind, what happened behind, and you can trust because you tested it out, right? But you sort of tested ahead, like you know, so it's that kind of openness towards the unknown that is kind of closer to faith than the belief, one would say, even. But it's a trust, right? That there's something in me stirred, and he's saying, not exactly this, but ... like follow ... right? The ... part of it all. I haven't been blessed with those insights that are precise and to the point. So I like a briling, you know. So it's a kind of briling. Do you call this? I don't know that in English when you read the sign language through touching the dots, right? Yeah. So it's a little bit of what's the acupressure point of this, you know?
And that in my vocabulary way of describing it, I would describe that as claircogniscience. So you have a sense of knowing, and the way of knowing is to sense into it, to feel where the heat is, warm, cold. So that and that, in my experience in my work, is the hardest sensing to develop.
Right.
Confidence, precision, clarity in.
Yeah.
Well, I'm clairvoyant and clairaudient, so I see and hear, and it's relatively straightforward. You see what you see, you hear what you hear. And yet when you're claircognizant, you're getting all of this information, just like you say, in Braille, an entire book in front of you, and you're going, okay, which page? What page am I supposed to be paying attention to?
Yeah, exactly. So it's not instantaneous. It's not given. To hold a hand on it and just await well and with trust. And sometimes, be surprised that actually it wasn't about me forming it, but actually by keeping a hand on it, I'm being changed. My perception is being changed, right? So sometimes unpacking something, as my hand goes down, sometimes I keep a hand there, and out of us two, it was me that was meant to be read, right? And then the transformation comes, right? Yeah. But it's blurry. It's a swimming in a kind of there is a felt seeing in it, but this seeing kind of emerges, most of the time quite slowly.
Yeah.
But sometimes has instantaneous sort of arising.
Listening to you talk and observing people in my own practices, when you're claircognizant in this way, let's use that term, there's so much more information, right? So the precision I get with the ticker tape that I see, or the pictures that I see, or the stuff that I hear, wonderful. It requires very little analysis, which is probably just the way it was set up. But in a sense, the way you're describing provides you with so much information. You need a practice that you've described so beautifully to be able to make sense of it. Really, to be able to navigate it.
Yeah, to make it relevant and translatable.
And translatable, and absolutely.
Yeah, those focusing practices are really coming in as a way also to linking it to a moment, to a place, to a person, to make it tangible. Yeah.
Because otherwise it's just like a tsunami of information.
Yeah. Well, that's what in a way my friendship with Barry sometimes end up being. I'm narrowing him the way I try to narrow myself. It's like Barry.
We've all experienced Barry's tsunamis. For sure. I'm going to ask Dill if you wanted to ask your question about intention, Dill. I feel it's important. If you feel it's gone, it's okay.
And I wonder, how is all that landing in you, Dill, when you hear us all kind of exploring? I just want to hear your voice too.
I guess for me, it's quite. I'm just observing. I'm learning. What was very interesting when Lorna mentioned claircogniscience. I feel that I have a lot of that, and certain things are not clear, but then sometimes it's very clear. And it's a knowing, and it's like I've just got to trust it.
There's so many ways of knowing, to be celebrated, to be, who knows, maybe to be dedicated to, or to be played with, or both.
So if there are three threads that are most present for you now from our whole conversation, what are they?
Precision, play, and celebrating different ways of knowing. What about, which one of those three resonated with you most? Which one carried energy?
The last one, the celebration of different ways of knowing. Celebrate different ways of knowing. To honor that and give space to that and love to that in others. And be curious about that. I am curious about that. I really felt that. Well, the play is obvious, and it's been really helpful naming some things today, because everything seems to come for me when I'm in a state of playfulness, and playfulness doesn't for me in any way denote not taking it seriously or disrespect, or like I don't feel it like that. I mean, you look out the window, like everything's like playing. The wind's playing, the birds are playing. They're probably fighting for their lives, some of them. That's for me something to give attention to. Well, it's all to give attention to, but celebrating other ways of knowing, different ways of knowing. So thank you so much. It's mind bending as always, heart opening, mind bending.
Thank you so much for including me in that. I just so enjoy swimming with you, and to be part of what you all created here. So thank you for having me this time.
Well, thank you, Halina, for joining us. It's absolute delight and pleasure, and I'm sure for all of us, lots of light bulbs going on. Sure, and I'd love us to just spend a moment celebrating that one knows, if we can, to finish, if that's okay with you.
Wonderful.
Oh, so thank you all so much. Thank you for that wonderful tsunami of knowing and celebration and lightness and listening. Thank you so much. And we won, aren't we? We're one. We are one.
We are.
In every moment. Thank you.
To receive more information about our guests and future events, please visit our website at sourceness.one. We are one.